Thank you, Peter. I'll just repeat what I started earlier, but due to technical reasons now have to cover over. My name is Ben Attrell. I'm a solicitor employed by Portsmouth City Council. Welcome to this morning's licensing committee. The first on the agenda, appoint a chair. Can I have nominations, please?
I nominate Claire Rudy.
Is that seconded?
Seconded, yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rudy. I'll sort of hand it over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Councillor Moody and welcome to Licensing Subcommittee meeting. This meeting is being broadcast to enable the press and public to view the meeting. We are meeting virtually in response to the limitations placed on governance by the COVID-19 pandemic. Until recently, the law generally stated that members had to be present in the room to make formal decisions at meetings, although it is arguable that this does not apply to licensing committee hearings under the Licensing Act 2003. However, in any event, the law was amended in response to COVID-19 and councils are now able to hold meetings virtually. For the purpose of this meeting, I've been advised by the City Solicitor, I can confirm, and having been advised by the City Solicitor, I can confirm that this hearing shall be run pursuant to Section 78 of the Coronavirus Act 2020 regulations made thereunder and the Licensing Act 2003 regulations 2005, which enable the authority to establish its own procedure. Members are reminded to be available throughout the meeting and indicate if they need to leave the proceedings at any point. All three members must be present at all times to be quorate. If at any part the evidence is missed by any of the members due to connectivity or other issues, please raise the matter as soon as possible so it can be addressed. Members, officers and participants are required to keep their microphones on mute and must only turn these on when they are called to speak. This will limit the amount of background noise which can be very disruptive. Members of the committee who wish to speak should use the chat facility and simply write their name. Please do not use the chat facility for anything else except to raise a point of order. If there are technical difficulties, we will endeavour to resolve these and where necessary have a brief adjournment that the meeting can proceed where quorate. I will now explain the running order for this meeting. So members will declare any interest first. The licensing officer will present the report. The members, the applicant or his solicitor and Councillor Symes, who has made a representation, may then question the licensing officer in that order. The applicant will then present his case and questions may be asked of the applicant. Councillor Symes will then present her case. Members will then ask any questions, followed by the applicant. Finally, everyone will have the opportunity to sum up their case, starting with Councillor Symes, then the applicant, and then the licensing officer. The meeting will then end. Members will meet privately for our deliberations to reach our decision, and this will be circulated to all parties as soon as possible. To reiterate, each party will have an opportunity to ask questions at the appropriate time and make their own representation when asked to do so. Parties are reminded that representations are strictly limited to only those points raised in your respective written representations. You are able to expand upon these points but not add new. You can be reassured that members have read the papers before and as a result you are asked not to simply read your written representation. Oh, we got to the end of that, didn't we? Introductions. I would now invite other members to, should I do the interest before introductions? Let's do introductions. Interest before introductions. Members, do you have any interests at all?
None.
None.
Cool. Thank you. I would now like to invite the members to introduce themselves. I will read your names out in alphabetical order. Can you please reply by stating your name and saying present? I will pause for a few seconds between calling each member. Councillor Ben Swan. I call Councillor Ben Swan.
Councillor Benedict Swan, Cotton Ward, present.
Sorry, Benedict. Sorry. I call Councillor Leo Madden.
Councillor Madden, Nelson Ward, present.
Thank you. Can I please ask the officers to confirm they are present as follows? Ben Attrell.
Hello. Yes, I'm here, present. Thank you.
Ben's our legal advisor, sorry. Jane Dodino, Local Democracy Officer.
Yes, I'm here, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks. Derek Stone, Principal Licensing Officer.
Yes, Derek Stone here, present.
Thank you. I now ask the following if they are present. Mr. John Walsgrove, the solicitor for the applicant.
Good morning, Chair. That's right. John Walsgrove for the applicant.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Linda Symes.
Councillor Linda Symes present.
Oh, declarations of interest was here in my little script, but never mind, we've done it, so that's all right. So thank you, members. I now move to agenda item 3 to consider the application for a premises licence, the beach bar at South Parade Pier in Southsea. Mr. Stone, could you please present your report?
Certainly. Good morning, members. This hearing is in relation to an application for a premises licence for Beach Bar, South Parade Pier, Southsea, to allow for a small concession to trade with the ability to provide off sales with a takeaway only service from a small serving hatch adjacent to the Gaiety Bar. The Gaiety Bar is operated under a premises licence, and it'll be the same premises licence holder for this application, together with the same DPS for the Gaiety Bar. In effect, it will allow members of the public to be served without the need to enter into the Gaiety Bar itself. The matter has been referred to the committee for determination following receipt of a relevant representation from a ward councillor, Councillor Symes, who will address you shortly. Members, the matter has been referred to the committee, as you said. You have my report before you, so I'll not go through that in full, but we'll just summarise it for you. The premises licence application has been submitted on behalf of Beach Bar Limited, who are seeking opening hours from 8 o'clock in the morning to 2300 hours and alcohol off sales from 10 o'clock in the morning until 2300 hours. The provisions relating to the grant of a premises licence are contained within Part 3 of the Licensing Act 2003 and associated statutory regulations. Just bear with me, technical fault. Public notice has been given by way of press notice, a premises notice, and local ward councillors were notified of the application. There are no grounds, therefore, to reject the application for non-compliance with the advertising requirements. South Parade Pier was built in 1875 and has continued to be a hub of activities in Southsea till this day. In addition to small arcades and fairground-style rides, the pier is a large licensed function room, the Gaiety Bar, and other licensed concessions. The pier was closed for several years and reopened in 2017 after major structural repairs. Prior to reopening, a premises licence was granted for 5 parts of the pier. These are 2 at the entrance, 1 in the centre on the east side, and 2 large sections at the end, which are known as the Gaiety Bar and the Deep Blue Restaurant. And these last 2 venues have their own separate premises licences. The applicant has detailed in the operating schedule the steps they intend to take to support and promote the licensing objectives, and you'll note the agreed condition regarding the non-use of glass that has been agreed between the applicant and the police, and that is at Appendix C in my report. Members, this hearing is necessary because we received 1 representation from Councillor Symes, and that representation you have before you at Appendix D. Members, you're required to determine this application once you've heard from all parties, and I've listed in my report at paragraph 5 what you must have regard to, first and foremost, being the promotion of the 4 licensing objectives. In my report, I hope I've given you some helpful guidance, but I would like to draw your attention specifically for the community where problems associated with the licensing objectives occur after the grant or variation of a premises licence, and how that licence can be reviewed should that be necessary. Members, I don't propose this anymore at this stage, but I'm available should you have any questions as this hearing unfolds, as is the applicant's solicitor, Mr. Walsgrove. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Members, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry, can I come in, Claire? I don't know how to operate this, whatever it's supposed to be, hand job thing. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I did. You might put questions in the side. Someone might have done that, but I just had it off my screen for a second. But no, I haven't got a chat up for it, so no one said anything yet. But go ahead. It's probably
Well,
the easiest way to
they're
do
very clever and much cleverer than I am.
it.
Could I? Thanks very much, Mr. Stone, for the report. And I think a couple of things from what you've said do stand out a bit. But could I say you mentioned other licensed facilities on the pier. Could you tell us the times they're opening?
Yes, I can. I've got a note here. So if I deal with the South Parade Pier itself,
Yeah.
so the whole pier, that covers 5 locations on the pier. They can open Monday to Sunday from 6 in the morning to 01:30 the following morning. They can do alcohol sales Sunday to Thursday, 11 o'clock to 00:30, and on a Friday and Saturday from 11 o'clock to 0100. So that's the general license that covers all the 5 licensed parts of the pier currently. And then independent of that, the Gaiety Bar has its own premises license. That is open again. It can open at 6 in the morning to 1:30, Sunday to Thursday. And on a Friday and Saturday, it can open from 6 in the morning to 02:30. Alcohol sales, Sunday to Thursday, 10 o'clock till 00:30. And the Friday and Saturday from 10 o'clock till 0100 hours. And then the Deep Blue restaurant, again, that opens, it can open from 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the evening on a Sunday, 9:30 to 11 o'clock for the rest of the week. Alcohol sales on a Sunday from 12 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, and on Monday to Saturday, 0900 to 2300 hours. And there's a couple of other venues close by if you need that information later, Councillor Madden.
Okay, thank you for that information. Can I ask you another question? In paragraph 4 of your report, Mr. Stone, you say, and I quote, "No representations from other responsible authorities have been received." And then you go on to mention the police, and as you mentioned in your report, the oil and glass products. Do you think that, and I'm particularly thinking of our own environmental health, for instance, are you surprised there are no other representations, or is that a good thing?
I'm not surprised, no, and it's a good thing because for me it means that all the responsible authorities are happy with the application.
Okay, thank you. That's me, Chair.
Councillor Swan, do you have any questions?
No, nothing from me. Leo's just asked the question I was going to ask.
Same. I did have a separate question. Rocky, I understand the premises has already used the TENS licence. Have you had any feedback from that over the last few weeks? Because obviously the weather was nice and obviously a responsible thing to do, isn't it? Has there been any feedback or complaints about this at all?
Sorry, not that I've been made aware of, Councillor Udy, no.
That's fine, thank you. Where are we on the list? Mr. Walsgrove, do you have any questions for Mr. Stone at all?
No questions, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And Councillor Linda Symes, do you have any questions for Mr. Stone?
Yes, I do.
Yes, sure.
Thank you. You said in your report that it was just a serving hatch and it was a standalone. You didn't mention any seating. Is there any seating provided?
I'm not privy to that information. I don't know, Councillor Symes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess that's it. Does members have any follow-up questions from that question at all or not? No. Oh, Ben, hello, sorry.
Yeah, hi. I did raise my hand electronically as well as physically. Just the question I had was, you mentioned the Gaiety Bar, which is under the same management, I understand, as the proposed premises. has a license and you've outlined the hours, but do they also have provision for off sales, which is what's proposed now?
Yes, they do. Both.
They do.
Yeah, the Deep Blue has both on and off sales, and the Gaiety Bar has both on and off sales.
So is it your understanding of the application that the likelihood is that the customers that are currently going into the Gaiety Bar will be redirected, or will not need to visit those premises, and will be able to be more easily served from this hatch, this proposed hatch?
Yeah, absolutely. All it will mean is that to save people actually going into the Gaiety Bar itself and help and purchasing alcohol, they can go to a serving hatch at the rear, and get the same, exactly the same.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I shall move on then to the applicant's case. Mr. Walsgrove, could you please present your case? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. As you heard from your licensing officer, the application is made by Trevor Bratty, who has been the licence holder and operator of the Gaiety Bar since the pier reopened in 2017. So he is a local businessman, lived in Portsmouth most of his life, and obviously he knows the pier as well as anybody else. There were, I recall, hundreds of objections to the pier licence when it had to be applied for, and lots of comments about what might happen in terms of public disorder, crime and disorder, etc., etc. Well, Trevor reports that in his time running the Gaiety Bar, there have been no issues reported to him from either environmental health or police along the concerns that were expressed by residents at that time. Now, I mention that history because, of course, we are in a licensing hearing where Councillor Simons, who's raised an objection, is effectively expressing what might happen, what might the effect be on the licensing objectives if you granted this application. And clearly it's been proved that fears expressed about crime and disorder and public nuisance regarding licensed premises on the pier have not materialised for all those premises which are licensed. The next point to make is the one that your solicitor picked up on, and the question he asked about the Gaiety Bar having an off licence, because in essence the COVID virus has prompted this application. So knowing the guidance and the push from the government to use outside space as opposed to having people inside licensed premises, Trevor decided that there is a unit, a very small unit next to his, which was in the demise of the Gaiety Bar, to look at opening that up so that customers did not have to come into the Gaiety Bar to order drinks and take away. They could order them at this beach bar, which effectively is a hatch. It's a grandiose project that he's set up as a beach bar, and he's decorated it nicely, and as you've heard, has reopened it up under some temporary event notices to try it. So that's what prompted the application. And if you refused his new licence this morning, that is not going to decrease any consumption of alcohol, whether it be people walking along the pier or whether they take any of the seats that are available on the pier, because they're more than entitled to do so. All this application is doing is to stop them going inside the Gaiety Bar, which obviously helps Trevor and his staff maintain those premises to the government guidance in terms of cleanliness, and for when the premises are then used for people who do want to come in and sit down, they're not having to deal with the issue of on and off sales. So that's what prompted it. Yes, I accept that comment may be made, well, the virus is not going to last forever, and at some point it will return back to normal. And yes, we've asked for a permanent licence as opposed to a temporary one, where at the moment the government are forecasting all these measures they're putting in place about use of that outside space will come to an end in September 2021. So I accept my client does want to use the facility beyond that, but this is what prompted the thinking behind the application. And as I said, it doesn't increase the level of consumption of alcohol. It's not going to have any impact on the licensing objectives in the way that Councillor Symes describes, because before the beach bar was there, customers would simply go into the Gaiety bar. We could have applied to vary the Gaiety bar's licence to just include this section on the plan. But in discussion with Trevor, he agreed with me that it is a different style of operation in terms of off sales and on sales, and that it would be better from a regulation point of view, both for him and also for the responsible authorities, to have a completely separate licence. So any issues which arose either from the Gaiety bar would not affect service from the hatch, and likewise, were there issues from the hatch, would not affect the Gaiety bar. So in terms of the temporary event notices, he had those from the 7th to the 12th of August, 6 days, and from the 14th to the 19th of August, another 6 days, and operating the hours that he's applied for on the licence, 10 to 11. He instructs me that the offer was very well received by members of the public, and he hasn't had any negative feedback from any of the responsible authorities, nor indeed from any members of the public, other than the representation to his application. So on the basis that there have been no issues, there is credible evidence there to show that this licensed premises would not have any negative impact on any of the licensing objectives. And of course, your licensing officer pointed out that there have been no objections from the responsible authorities. I know as an experienced licensing committee, you know what the government guidance says, but for completeness sake, I'm just going to repeat it, that in the Section 182 guidance, you are directed to attach weight effectively to what responsible authorities have to say, and it's identified that each is an expert in their own field. So the police on crime and disorder, environmental health on health and safety and public protection, and of course child protection and social services for the protection of children from harm. So just summing up, essentially Trevor's proved that the operation can work without a negative impact. If you refuse the licence, in a sense, the only thing that enables is customers to have to walk into a premises. He wants to keep those customers out and use the outside space as recommended by national government, and there are no responsible authority objections. Balanced against a written objection from the local councillor, which doesn't actually set out the particular grounds of the objection, merely states which two licensing objectives there would be a negative impact on, but doesn't say why that is, and no credible evidence being adduced to say what that negative impact would be. So in all the circumstances, I would ask you to grant this application as applied for, with a condition that was agreed with the police, which in any event Trevor would have operated in any case. But of course, if you have any questions arising out of what I've said or what's in the application, then of course I'm only too pleased to answer them. What I forgot to do right from the outset was apologise that Trevor Bratty cannot join the call this morning. So Trevor had a holiday booked in Greece, which was one of the ones which was not cancelled, and on arrival he informed me that the internet connection was poor, and we thought it better not to keep interrupting the meeting with him dropping in and out. So he apologises for not being on the meeting, but I do have him on the end of a mobile phone if you've got any questions that I'm not in a position to answer. So thank you for your attention and time this morning, councillors.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walsgrove. Members, do you have any questions? Just wave at me and I'll just take you first. Or Leo. Leo, do you have any questions? Yeah, Leo. You're on mute, councillor. Sorry.
Am I on now? Yeah, hello? Oh, God's sake.
You on? Yeah, you're on. You're on. Sorry, thumbs up. I didn't know if you were watching.
I look forward to getting back to some sort of normality myself, I have to say. Could I was intrigued by the application for a permanent licence as opposed to the temporary one or one via the Gaiety bar. And I was just wondering, do you see this facility been open all year round, or will there be times, say, in the winter when it wouldn't be used? And that was, that's also part of the reason for a permanent one to open, as and when the need seems, or it seems fit.
No, you're entirely right. Trevor expects it to be entirely seasonal, so only when the weather is good is that likely to be open. It's not going to be open all the time.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Swan, do you have any questions?
No, nothing from me.
Okay, thank you. I do have like a semi-question. I'd say it's a question, and it could fall under the licensing objectives. The police have asked for things to be served in non-glass containers. You probably don't have this information, but has there been any kind of information of what they want to serve the drinks out of? I'm thinking more environmentally friendly products, because I have been to the beach in the last few weeks, and obviously some places have been serving alcohol on, and I've seen them in plastic containers, and I'm worried about single use. I guess I can find a licensing objective that can fall into just about maybe public safety or public nuisance, maybe a little bit if there's rubbish. But do you have an answer to that? If not, I'm not too fussed, but it would be nice to know.
I'm sure, as any licensee, it would be something that Trevor's looking at. I don't know what product he is serving the alcohol in, but certainly I will pass on your comments. If you want me to phone him and find out exactly what he's serving them in, I can do, but all I would say is it is at the forefront of licensees' mind about, particularly where they're serving so much alcohol to be consumed off the premises, what sort of products are available.
Thank you. You don't have to call him. I guess it's more of a passing comment if the licence was granted, because I don't think it can be written into any kind of judgment or anything. So thank you. Councillor Symes, do you have a question? Thank you very much.
Yes, I do. Is there any seating for this bar? Is there any seating for the beach bar? Has any seating been provided?
The only seating that's available is the seating that is on the pier, so people could sit down on any of the seats that are available at the pier.
It's just that one of the residents took a photograph of 3 picnic tables that have been placed directly next to it, and it's got an A board next to it, leaning against it, saying seating for the beach bar.
I haven't seen that. All I know is that there are seats available all the way along the pier, and that customers can sit at any of those and consume alcohol if the licence were granted, and even if it weren't granted, because they'd still be going into the Gaiety bar.
And how would you manage social distancing if you've got people socially distancing from the kiosk and you've got people entering the pier, families entering the pier in that very small stretch of space? How will that be managed?
The staff obviously are aware of the social distancing regulations and have been dealing with that for some time now, and so they would be managing people coming to the counter to have their orders taken. Queuing wasn't a particular issue during the 12 days, and the staff were more than able to deal with that in the same way that they have to deal with social distancing inside the premises.
Thank you.
Chair, can I just come in on a point, please? I was sent some photographs this morning of some picnic benches, and it relates to another part of the pier, not the application you're dealing with today.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I was sent them and it was said that they were, so I'm sorry if that's wrong.
No bother at all, Councillor Symes. Mr. Stone, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. I will now give Councillor Symes, who made a representation, the opportunity to present her case. Councillor Symes, if you'd like to present your case or add anything to you've made in your representation, please do so. Thanks.
Thank you. That stretch of the pier where this bar is going to be open is the only one that is in such close proximity to residential properties on the opposite side of the road. There have been written representations sent to Deborah Robson from many of the residents in that area objecting to this application. I don't know if they've been seen by the licensing committee or anyone else, but they do exist. I mean, I can read you one now. It says beach bar, previously Turkish takeaway. The title suggests it is on the beach.
Sorry, Councillor.
Sorry, can I just interject there? I'm going to have to stop. I'm going to have to stop you there. Unfortunately, you're strictly limited to the written representation that you've submitted, and I did note that you intended to represent residents.
Okay.
But the difficulty here is that only you personally, or as a ward councillor, have made a written rep. So for you to be able to actually represent others or start to present evidence on behalf of others, they would have needed to have made a written representation themselves.
But they did.
Did.
These letters were sent in to Deborah Robson. So, you know, I can't understand why she hasn't received them.
Well, the licensing officer can address that in a second, but they're not certainly not part of the papers. But they haven't been put before the subcommittee. And
sorry, Mr. Walsgrove's like to see if I think there might be conflation over two different premises applications that have been on at the pier, and I think Mr. Walsgrove might clear that up a little bit.
I think that's exactly right, and the written representation that Councillor Symes has just read refers to a Turkish premises, and that is the old pier hut, which has put in a separate application. It's not the beach bar. They're two completely different premises, and there have been dozens of objections to the old pier hut, but that hasn't got anything to do with the beach bar. Nobody objected to the beach bar apart from Councillor Symes.
Thank you. Councillor Symes, would you like to continue?
I'm very sorry. I was as far as I was aware, the deputation I was making this morning was on the Turkish bar, which is just inside the entrance to the pier, and that was the meeting I asked to speak at. That was what I wanted to make representation on. So I don't understand how where we are, because the representations I'm talking about were the ones that I'm meant to be making representation
Can I just clarify then? By the sounds of it, you're not actually objecting to this application at all.
This application is for which area?
So
it's where the old fish and chip shop was. You know, the little kiosk.
Yeah, no, I had no. I'm very sorry. I'm afraid that I'm making a deputation at the wrong meeting.
Well, in which case, if you're withdrawing your representation, there's no need for the hearing to continue.
No, I don't know how this came about. I know there are three applications. There's that one, there's the Turkish hut, and there's the decked area down on the beach, which is coming up soon. I have spoken to Deborah Robson at great length and ascertained that this was the one I wanted to speak on. So I can't understand why I'm at a hearing for a completely different application.
Councillor Symes, that hearing's booked in for, I think it's the 9th of September, and papers will be released soon.
Yes, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you're not making an objection to this application, then there's no point for this hearing to continue, and the application will be granted in the terms sought. Mr. Walsgrove, is there anything you want to add?
I'm very sorry for the confusion, but you know, I've made it absolutely clear, and the representation that I forwarded were absolutely clear on which representation I was making at which meeting. So I really don't understand, you know, why this is the case.
I just want to make this comment, because whilst I'm delighted you're confirming you're withdrawing your objection so the licence would be granted, you did make a valid objection to the beach bar's licence and a separate objection to the old pier hut. I don't want any confusion to then ensue after this hearing, because you definitely made an objection to the beach bar, Mr. Bratty's application, which is the unit right next to the Gaiety bar. And but
that was on information that I'd received. I'm speaking to a licensing officer. I didn't know what it was called. I just knew that there was an application for a hut that was right down just at the beginning of the pier.
On the basis it might be helpful if you actually look at the Appendix D, and you can see the actual rep itself.
Yeah, well, as I say, I'm very sorry. It's my mistake in all probability, and I do apologise, but it wasn't my intention to speak on this application.
I think that's understood. In terms of practicalities as to where we go now, my view is the authority has received a valid representation. as a result, it ought to carry on to determine the matter. I think that's far safer than some kind of just sort of ditching the meeting at this stage.
I agree.
So there's no point us continuing to discuss it, I don't think, unless there's anything else.
Well, if Councillor Symes has made her case, if no one has any questions about that, we can start the summing up process very quickly, can't we?
Yeah.
Oh, Councillor Swan.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, is Leo still on the meeting? I don't know if he's disappeared.
Oh, he did. Thank you, Councillor Swan.
I hope he's not stormed off in disgust.
I'm trying not to laugh, honestly. So we shall wait for Councillor Madden to come back and see how much of what happened he knows about, and then we'll move to summing up at that point.
Yeah.
Cool.
Perhaps Jane, you could see if you could try calling him.
If Jane's there, Jane. Or even if Peter's there. Peter, you kind of half listening in?
I am, Chair, and I understand that Jane is having problems with her microphone, so I will contact Councillor Madden to find out where.
Thank you. Hello, Councillor Madden. Microphone. Microphone. Your microphone's on. Your microphone. Oh, wait a second. Councillor Madden, your microphone's still on mute.
Hello.
Hey, hello. Some stuff has happened, but what did you last get from this meeting before you left?
Well, I think the last bit was your question about glasses or non-glasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot has happened then, and I'll put you over to the city solicitor, not city solicitor, our licensing solicitor, and he will clarify what's happened in the last. You've missed a lot, Leo.
Yeah, could I ask a question though?
What happened of the solicitor?
What happens if it happens again? I don't know whether it's this network or whatever, but it's not taking me all that time to get back in again. So I went out and back in. I tried to phone Jen, but obviously she's doing her bit. But how do I get back in again, or how do I let you know that I'm not on the system?
Well, we should have noticed that you had left, and we didn't because there was other events unfolding.
No.
Ben's gonna recap because things have slightly changed a little bit. So Ben's gonna recap for you.
Thank you.
Ben, you're on mute.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear me now. Yes. Excellent. So Councillor Symes has confirmed that in actual fact she has no objection to this particular application. She was a little confused and had thought that she was making representations in relation to a different premises. And on that basis, there's very little for the subcommittee to actually determine, but my advice to the subcommittee was that it ought to continue because it had received a relevant representation to make a determination just to formalise the matter. So in actual fact, the meeting has effectively come to a halt. It's just a matter now of very brief summing up, I think, and then members will make a formal determination. Thank you, Chair.
Is that okay, Leo? Please unmute your mic first.
Yeah, thank you for that update, and thanks, Councillor Symes.
Thank you. Then I'll move to summing up. Then, so who's first to sum up? This is Councillor Symes withdrawn that little bit. Mr. Walsgrove, is there anything you'd like to add to your application before we adjourn or end the meeting in virtual terms?
I don't think there's anything to add. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Same again for Mr. Stone.
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any last questions before I end this meeting for deliberations? No.
Just to say, Chair, that hopefully we aim to email out the decision today.
Oh yeah, I would hope so. Thank you for everyone who took their time to attend today. We'll end the meeting now, and the committees will make the decision along with a legal advisor, which obviously you'll get your result at the end of the day. By the end of the day, members, we have an exempt session that we're supposed to sign into. So 5-10 minutes if you want to come back, if you need to use the loo or something, and then we'll all meet 5-10 minutes. As soon as you're all there, we'll start deliberating. So thank you for attending today. See you later. Thank you, Mr. Walsgrove. Thank you, Derek, Mr. Stone. And thank you, Jane, who's there. See you soon.